So that is another season over at St James's Park. 37th Premier League game today here. Newcastle United won it 3-1. It was a great day. It was a great performance with some great efforts in there from Newcastle United players, and they really did rise to the occasion. It was Kieran Trippier's last game at St James's Park, and yeah, first and foremost, pay tribute to him. Great performance, displayed the qualities that he's done ever since he arrived at the club. And, he's a player that Newcastle are going to badly miss and they're going to find hard to replace. And that is going to be the key issue for Newcastle going into the summer. They need quality, they need it quickly, and they know that other teams are overtaking them in the window already because they've already made moves. Newcastle are already slightly behind other teams before the window is open. So we need to see speed. Eddie Howe has appealed for that before. He appealed for it again in his press conference after the game. And basically, Newcastle know they're going to have limited money to spend. They're going to have to sell players, and it goes on and on. But looking at the performance in isolation, William Masula, 2 great goals today, really took his chance. And, it's a chance in the end of season running that he's been waiting for all season. He's finally got it, and yes, he has delivered some quality, and he did that again today with 2 well-taken goals. I thought Jacob Ramsey was fantastic as well, and Nick Waldemar finally, got his goal at St James's Park after so many weeks of frustration, being benched, being played out of position, but seems to be in a position that suits him. Maybe it isn't the lone striker, but certainly got into the game from the early stages and can't argue with the finish. If only the service had been as good as that all season. I think that was Harvey Barnes' first Premier League assist of the season. And yeah, some good performances all around. I like the formation. I want to be positive here. I do feel that it is a little bit too late in the game in terms of trying to get into Europe, because obviously Newcastle now have only 1 game left, and even if they win it, it's probably not going to be enough. 27 points were lost from winning positions this season, and yeah, that's the story of the campaign for Newcastle. They've let things slip, and for whatever reason, injuries, too many games, not a big enough squad, I don't know. It's all seemed to have added up for Newcastle this season, and they have not made the most of certainly the second half of the campaign, a campaign that promised so much and has ended up delivering. Well, they're going to be empty-handed unless there's a miracle in terms of Premier League results in the last week of the season. We shall see. But really, today for me, top performance. But I did feel I have to add into it that it was a performance where the pressure was off slightly. It hasn't been the pressure of recent weeks where they needed a result. We knew Newcastle were going to be safe in the Premier League. They were never going to get sucked into a relegation battle. But the fact that they're out of Europe and they're in mid-table, they're 11th, it just felt to me today that the pressure was off, and Newcastle, it showed in the performance. Great atmosphere, I have to say. But we know now next season Newcastle have got to do much, much better. This season, 16 defeats tells its own story. Not good enough. Could end up finishing behind Sunderland. Could have to watch Sunderland going to Europe. I'm sure Newcastle fans who watch this video will give me their views on this. Yeah, let me know what you think of the performance, the season, and overall, thanks for watching. It's been a real pleasure reporting from St James's Park for you guys this season. But overall, Newcastle sign off with a win tonight and move on to Fulham next week.